Welcome to the Game Jam Bootcamp. This is going to be a presentation presented by a couple of the ambassadors of IGM. And yeah, so hi everybody, I'm Cole. I'm a fifth year GDD BSMS. They call me the professional rubber duck because I'm really good at seeming like I'm always paying attention and like working you through your problems. A lot of like tutoring, I'm really good at because I can kind of just like talk you through things and then like you'll come to the realization yourself and I'll be like, I helped you do that, even though if I didn't necessarily actually help you that much.
So howdy folks, my name's Nick. I'm a guy who does game jams, and I'm here to talk to you about game jams later today.
I'm passed over to me. Whitney Klutz, you can just call me Whit. I'm a third year GDD major. I will be here talking about game jams as well. And for my blurb, I said I'm a competitive Mario Party player. I do not play competitively. I realize that sounds a little misleading. It makes it sound like I do esport Mario playing. All I mean is that when there's a Mario Party, I'm here to win. Pass it to Nuha.
Yeah, of course. I'm Nuha. I'm also a third year GDD BS student. I think my blurb is funny, but it's honestly fine. Like, we get along fine.
We do live.
We get along fine. We live together. Yeah. And yeah, Mario Party rocks, especially when I'm winning.
So what are we covering today? So we're going to couple of things. So we're going to talk about game jams and hackathons in general, how to do well during them, as well as how to get the most out of them, as well as some general team building and communication skills to really do well in these environments, as well as some just tips and tricks, stories from us as upperclassmen that can hopefully inspire you. We can share some of the lessons we've learned from doing game jams so that you can avoid those same pitfalls when you go and do your first one. But before all that, I wanted to talk a little bit about how can you stand out in our major in IGM? How can you stand out as a GDD student and an NMID student amongst people of the same major? So feel free to type your answers in chat, but we'll also talk about it as each of the ambassadors. So one of the big ones for me is always you need to have good portfolio pieces. One of the really, really important things is to have cool projects that you can talk about and show off to people. More often than not, especially with how our curriculum is set up, a lot of people end up having the same-ish projects. Like everybody makes an Asteroids in 202, everybody remakes certain like games, like you make a board game in GDD1, but it's not really those pieces that really make you stand out. It's those personal projects that you do outside of class where you, for instance, I remember someone made a multiplayer mod for Crash Team Tag Racing for the PS2 completely on his own by using basically a bunch of knowledge he had known about emulating and modding games, using that to create a mod himself was a really good way for him to stand out. Other ways include attending events is really, really important, showing off and going to things, like talking with other people and really spreading word that you are like an active part of our major is really, really important for you to be able to stand out because you learn what other people are doing and how you can be like those people who are succeeding. Another really important thing is going above and beyond on a lot of your projects. So similarly with those personal projects, I would consider those going above and beyond the kind of call of what you need in our major. This can also include doing really well on projects. So, you know, you might have done Asteroids in 202, but taking it a step further than just Asteroids, maybe you have another player in it. Maybe you really go hard on making a cool art style. Maybe it is a worthwhile portfolio piece because you've put enough time into it that it can be really showed off to employers as like, yeah, this started as a class project, but I took it on and put more and more hours into it. So it would really make me stand out. I'll go for it. Nuha?
Yeah, I think like especially kind of what you were saying at the beginning, where everyone has the same class project. Like the thing that's going to set you different is your passion and your interest. So like do that and set yourself apart. Like do things not for the sake of like meeting a deadline where you would with the class project. Like do it because you're interested in this and you want to meet your own standards. So I think kind of doing something for the sake of yourself rather than like for a class or a grade is also like further incentive in game jams and like personal projects.
Yeah, if I could also just tail in that a little bit too. Like Nuha said, like we like to joke a lot about, things being difficult and super hard and like stress and grind, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, this is the major for a lot of us, I believe, that it's kind of a dream, like working on games. That is so awesome. It is so, so, so cool. So like exactly like Noah said, hold on to that passion, like hold on to that drive. In a lot of ways, all of us here are extremely, extremely lucky to have this opportunity. And another thing you can do, like also going above and beyond in projects, if possible, if it's like within your comfort zone, is also like open office hours are another great way to sort of stand out. If you're working on a project and you're trying to push it above and beyond, go to that teacher. Go to that teacher and say, hey, I'm trying to push this project further than what you taught us in class. Can I ask you about that? Am I doing anything wrong? Is there anything I can improve on? Maybe you'll get to know them. And also personal projects, you can do the same thing. There were a lot of teachers that I would go to and say, hey, I'm trying to work on this personal project. I don't understand this thing. It wasn't taught in class. I've been looking it up online, but I'm still not getting it. Do you just have a little bit of time to help me? Sometimes they will be busy. I've had teachers before. It's like, oh, there's actually like a lot of students here that need help with the project. Maybe not today. Just go another time of the week, email them. I know right now it's a little harder with the craziness of coronavirus. I completely recognize and respect that. But when that's all gone one day, or if teachers are going out of their way to open virtual office hours, try that. You'll be surprised.
And there's still ways to engage there's still ways to engage with your professors as a really good sign of how to engage with people online, but not just talking about GDD majors, but also bringing it back to NMID. You can still be passionate when creating immersive, engaging, and interactive experiences for people, whether it be a really interesting website. It doesn't always have to be games. And while the four of us are GDD majors, there are still NMID students that stand out really well because they're going above and beyond and really attending hackathons, game jams, making personal projects that make them stick out from not only us here in IGM, but other students at RIT at career fairs, as well as other students across the country as they go for some of the top internships, etc. But moving into, oh, Nick, you want to say something?
I was just gonna say real quick, with it, just do your best. And with your projects where you did your best, it's and like you did your best and it is your best, it's extremely obvious. Like you can tell the quality from it.
I also just want to quickly add, with standing out and everything, like Nick said, do your best, but also keep in mind, like it is a personal sprint. This is not a ladder. This is a hill. You are not competing against each other. And that will also help you stand out in a positive light. That's a way that you can stand out in bad and good lights. If you are someone who is respectful to your peers and tries to work with peers and help them, that will look really good for you. Maybe less so if you try to show up or push down peers. And it can be very hard when you're thinking, I want to be my best, I want to do my best. It can be very easy to let that competitive drive perhaps overload you and try to elevate yourself over people, but that's just not how it works. And I promise you, not only will you be happier, but you'll also be looked at and regarded much better if you treat everyone with that kindness and help other people while trying to do better yourself.
And speaking in a direct sense as well, you can think of it as a lot of the people that are here with us in this major, or just here at RIT in general, are likely going to end up in an industry where they have a full-time job, or at least for a lot of people. And a lot of times, I know a lot of people that are struggling to find jobs right now, COVID especially, but even before that, we're struggling to find jobs. And the ways they're getting in are by talking with a lot of people from RIT that got into the industries that they were interested into, companies they want to work at, and are now helping other people get into those same companies. So a lot of the friends you make here at RIT, a lot of the connections you make can possibly really just help you professionally down the line as well. So don't burn bridges with people. Moving on from that, so what is the game jam? We've talked a lot about like how can you stand out. We've mentioned attending events, really going above and beyond for personal projects. But what is this thing called a game jam? What is a hackathon? Why are we having a boot camp for them? Like why does that matter? So to hit on a bunch of points. So a game jam and a hackathon is typically a short period of time where you are committed to creating a singular project in a small team. This might be a team of as small as one to a team as small as 5 or 6. Usually they're not too much bigger than that unless there's like a specific theme to the game jam. or hackathon. There's typically certain things that you theme the game jam around. It might be, for instance, Jam for the Cause last year was run under the theme of education. So we had teams making educational games. I don't know if Brickhack themes their events, but I know another game jam that I attended was themed around everyday heroes. So people like firemen, pizza delivery guys, police people, all these different roles in society, kind of like the everyday people. It was about creating games that featured them as main characters. You can think of them as what was saying earlier, they're kind of positive competitions instead of these sort of like you have to compete to be the best. It's more about you're trying to make the best project possible amongst other people trying to do the same thing. It's more of a we're building each other up instead of we're trying to beat each other out. It's a much more positive environment. It's a really good opportunity to flex your own skills. That's why it's bolded there. It's a really good time to, if you think you're really good at Unity for whatever year you are, you've gone out of your way to learn Unreal, for instance, or other engines, or you're really confident in your raw C++ ability of coding, or whatever you think you're good at, it's a good opportunity to show that off to the world and be like, hey, I think I'm killer at this. Let me flex off that I can design like 20 levels in an hour or something. And this is, again, the opportunity for you to create portfolio pieces that you can use to get jobs in the real world. Also, game jams and hackathons are a really unique experience compared to most other things we can do in college. Because they're not really, you're not doing it for a class like grade, you're not doing it for money. Usually you're not doing it for any like particular reason. You're really doing it to better yourself. And it's really fun. I've had a lot of experiences at game jams and hackathons that have led me to become closer with my friends, have led me to really start to be more interested in games in general. Like the first game jam I attended was in the second semester of my first year here at RIT. And it was kind of like the cement for me to be like, I want to do this. I want to be here and I want to try my damnedest to be the best game developer and designer that I can be. And I think there's a lot of opportunities here at RIT to attend game jams and hackathons. But one of the biggest things people usually say, and I think I saw it on the form already, is I don't feel prepared enough to do a game jam or hackathon yet. I don't feel like I know enough. I don't really have the time to do it. A lot of these questions are typically reasons that people won't participate in their first game jam. And to be honest with you, most of these can be thrown out the window. Not feeling prepared enough to do a game jam / hackathon, that's true like basically forever. You can always feel like you're not prepared and you can always know more, but the best opportunity for you to learn how to do well in a game jam is to just go out and do one. Again, it's not so much that you're trying to go out and win and do amazingly at this presentation, welcome Kimmy, or anything like that, but it's really about you trying your damnedest to go out there. If you've never used Unity before, you can try to learn how to use Unity during a game jam. And then during your next game jam, you've already used Unity for a bit. So it's a good opportunity for you to be able to continue to improve on your skills.
Yeah, definitely. I think just to like echo some of that, like take game jams and hackathons as a learning experience. If you don't know Unity, like you're probably gonna think sometime in your year, I'm gonna sit down and just like dedicate this weekend to doing Unity stuff. And that might not happen, but at least if you go to a game jam, you can do that, be committed to the fact that you're there and you're doing that, and also kind of have input from upperclassmen to help you through some issues while you're like learning Unity for the first time. It always just take it as like a learning experience.
Another,
Sorry.
oh yeah, just another quick thing too is that when you're at maybe this, I've just been lucky that every single game jam I've gone to, the people hosting it, there's always helpers around too. And they are so great that if you just don't know how something works, they will just sit with you for an hour, 30 minutes and just walk you through. So that's just like worst case scenario, maybe you'll get like a few hours of just tutoring. So yeah, there's always something to be gained there.
Hi, sorry, I'm Kimmy. I just got here. I'm more used to the hackathon universe, which is kind of like game jams, but it's not just for games. You get a lot of other people there too. And at least in our environment, same thing comes along with There are people, everyone there is in the same boat. We all just want to learn and we want to teach. And a hackathon or game jam is a wonderful time and opportunity in order to learn things that you don't quite understand yet, or things that you want to improve upon. It's not quite the time to show off how good you are unless you're going for that, #1 prize, which is, in my opinion, should never be your goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of, to speak to some of these other questions that are on here, not sure if you have the time. A lot of the times that you don't think you have the time, you might actually, but this is a topic we'll come back to later in terms of how committed you are to being able to spend a weekend working on something. But it is to be able to note, like, you do have to commit a lot to a game jam or hackathon, but a lot of the times it's worth doing so because you'll have a project for the future, again, to be one of those people that really stand out at RIT and in our major. Not knowing what to work on, thankfully, most game jams and hackathons are themed around something, or you'll be on a team of people that are also trying to come up with an idea, and odds are one of you can probably come up with an idea that sounds pretty good to the rest of you. Again, not having the tech skills, game jams are a great opportunity to learn. They're a really good place for you to, try things, fail. And again, we'll be coming back to that later, but don't worry so much about not having the skills right now. It's best to go out and try your damnedest to do the best you can. Not having a team. There's a lot of people who attend game jams and hackathons for the first time without having a team, and that's totally fine. You'll meet some of the most passionate people at game jams and hackathons because, again, these are the people who are trying to stand out in the major. And a lot of times it's probably going to be people like us, some of the ambassadors, as well as Kimmy. And I think most of us are pretty friendly. I don't think I've ever bitten someone, at least at an event. So
Have you met me? I'm the most unfriendly person you'll ever meet.
that's fair. But usually you'll find people who are totally willing to bring you up on a team. And I know from Jam for a Cause, we made a bunch of teams of people that had never met before. And a lot of them had a lot of fun together. Because that's a really important thing. And one of these other questions that I don't hear brought up too often, but is something to hit on, if I want to be a game designer, I want to make the narratives of games. I want to work on the sound for games. I want to do game art. What do I do for an entire 24 hours? There is ways to come up with games that can speak to your specific skill set. If you don't think you're very strong at programming and it's not what you want to do for the rest of your life in industry, don't worry about that. Find a team that needs a game designer, or be willing to figure out a game that's going to require a lot of design work. If you're a sound person, maybe don't just work on one team unless you can come up with a game that really utilizes your abilities. Maybe spread your wealth of ability to other teams too, and say, hey, instead of working on one project, I'm going to work on 5 and make a bunch of sound effects for each team and make good background music for a bunch of games that you can then have your name attached to. So now instead of walking away from a game jam with 1 project, you now have 5. And then lastly, as a narrative designer, same thing. Where you can participate on multiple teams by coming up with dialogue for their games, by setting up simple systems that you can have narratives told through, and giving people recommendations on where to go with their story.
Please know with that, though, that each team may or may not need more or less work than you'd expect. So take that into consideration.
Very true.
So I'm usually a Unity representative or student ambassador, Unity representative at most of these hackathons and game jam events. And I just want you to know that if you don't have a team, talk to some of us. You'll see us in the Unity shirts. We will figure it out because we have been in those positions. As a person, I go to hackathons every weekend. And I also am a mentor there as well. And something that when you do have an established team, you can also use the same thing that Cole was talking about with, you find your position. And so what we did was for one weekend, I would be back end and somebody would be front end and somebody else would be design. And then we'd switch it up. And so we'd all get the same, like the different experiences, because sometimes one of the best things about hackathons and game jams is even if you want to be a game designer, there are so many other things that you could try that you might not even know that you're going to fall in love with. Like that's what happened with me in back-end development. I thought web dev, absolutely not. Get it away from me. Ow, disgusting. But turns out I liked it just because of the experience I had at hackathons, and because of hackathon projects, I was really able to open my horizons and gain a lot of new experience and responsibilities, and even co-ops and internships because of my hackathon projects, like just exploring things I didn't think I'd like.
Yeah, and definitely like if you, since I know a lot of people here are like freshmen, if you don't think you have enough knowledge or you think you have zero knowledge, like if you go to those events, like those mentors will help you. Do not be afraid of that. You know, they can either pair you up with a really like established team, so you don't have to be worried about feeling like you're not doing your part. Just like go there to learn, and there will be people to help you and teach you. You can also just like take that opportunity to teach yourself things in that case, but just don't be afraid, like don't block yourself off by kind of putting yourself down in that way.
Mentors expect there to be someone who has zero knowledge.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Definitely for like mentors need something to do. So go there so they have something to do.
Yes, we get bored. We really do. And I was that person. My first hackathon, I knew absolutely nothing. I sat with a mentor from around 2 in the morning to 4 in the morning in order to learn how to set up a server. And now I won't forget it. And then my next hackathon, I was with a senior game development student, and she really showed me the ropes on like how to use Git and source control and how to really understand how to work with the team. So I highly recommend pairing up with someone a bit older than you. Don't be shy. It's going to be okay. They were in your spot too once. It doesn't even matter. And like people just want to see you thrive, and it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Go have fun. Do it.
And then moving on to some potential projects that you can go and look at, or I'll speak to some of them myself. So Jam for a Cause was a game jam I ran a year ago now in fall of 2019. I made a bunch of cool projects that came from that. If you're interested in seeing those, feel free to just go to that link down there. But speaking to two of them, Wall Breakers was a team of, I believe, second and third years who worked to create a game kind of like Hole in the Wall, I guess you could say, where you had to click certain boxes and it was coming at you, kind of teaching the player, you know, click on certain boxes. It was a really well put together project that they spent a lot of time on making looking visually appealing. So you can see that screen cap there of it kind of like dissolving with Unity shaders. It was a really good project that came out of it. And Jam for Cause was only 24 hours, so it was really impressive for a team of their size and their skill level to come out with a project like that. Another game was Atomic Launcher that really leaned into the educational aspect. You were shooting different elements into compounds to create entire you were creating chemical compounds. So you were making sugar, you were making water, you were making different things and teaching the player through that way. So again, these game jams and hackathons are great opportunities for you to be able to create personal projects that you can go and show off to potential employers. Another one that happens here at RIT, and Whit's going to talk a little more about this, is Brick Hack.
Yeah, I'll talk a little about it, and then when I'm done, Kimmy, like feel free to jump on it too. So Brick Hack is the hackathon that's hosted at RIT. What is a hackathon? So like a hackathon is very similar to a game jam in terms of you're working together on a coding assignment. You've limited time, 24 or 48 hours, whatever, depending on the organization. And you're going to be trying to make a prototype of software applications. Super common ones are web and mobile apps. When I went to, it was an HTML page and I believe a task manager. So there's a lot of different opportunities, a little history on hackathons. GroupMe was made in a hackathon originally. That's a great example of like a sort of success story of something that started in a hackathon. Again, though, very similar to what Cole said in the game jam. Just think of all that, but sort of with the web development, HTML. If you're not in like the GED field, those sort of might interest you. Or if you're in the GED field and want to expand your horizons, like we've said too, go for that too. It's an awesome opportunity.
Brick Hack was fun. It was also a lot of fun planning it for a little bit. A few months that I was doing that. But if you want to check out more about Brick Hack and the great hackathons happening around the RIT community and Rochester community, even at U of R, Code RIT is a great club that you could join. They have a Slack and a Discord server. And also Unity. We had a huge game jam happening a few weeks ago where it was all just beginners helping them learn about game development stuff. So definitely check out Unity's website too. They sometimes post game jams. I don't know if one's coming up, but also a great opportunity.
All right. So I'll continue. I'm going to do the next few slides. Anyone else, ambassadors, are welcome to jump in though. how can I do well at a game jam dash hackathon? Yep, there we go. All right. So we're going to start off with just a very generic sort of explanation and reminder about personal health. So it's again, that's another thing that we sometimes joke about is like, oh, stay up so late, drink a bunch of caffeine, like don't eat. But like also know it is okay to like prioritize your health. In fact, your project will turn off better if you know your limits. That's an important thing that we'll be getting into later too. Like know what you can accomplish, know what you can do, and that like goes down on like the physiological level. Like feed yourself, stay hydrated. If you're getting tired and you're getting frustrated at people because you're tired, tell your teammates, get some sleep. Sleeping and eating is important. Take breaks. Productivity scientifically has been shown so many different sources that your productivity decreases if you do not take breaks. So find a schedule that works for you. Use study habits, use whatever situations you've built in your personal life, and tell your team, hey, I'm going to work for 2 hours and then take a break for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to come back and do 2 more hours. And prepare in advance is another huge thing. So get your commitments out of the way if you can. And if you can't, tell that to your team and work around with them, communicate that with them. Maybe say, I'm not going to actually be able to do this game jam because it turns out I have 3 assignments that weekend. Or if they're okay with it, say, hey, I got 3 assignments this weekend and that's going to take priority. I still want to try to do this game jam. Can I join the team and do what I can? That might not be everything, but I want to do my best. Just know your limits, but don't agree with anything that you can't do. And don't push yourself to the level where you're not being productive because you're physically frustrated. Personal health, very important, physical, mental level.
Yeah, to reaffirm the sleeping and taking breaks, something I always try to do during game jams is you don't need that full 8 hours of sleep, but do try to get like 4 to 6. Like you're not trying to be completely like you're taking a test and you have to be hyper concentrating, or you're going on a 16-hour drive and have to be completely awake, but get enough rest that you can kind of sit on things. If you're going to bed on with a certain problem in your head, oftentimes you'll wake up the next morning and have the solution in your head because you were thinking about it as you were sleeping. That's how the funky mind works. It just does these things. So a lot of the times taking a break, going and talking with other teams can also help you brainstorm solutions. You can go talk to one of the mentors, take that time to like take a deep breath and then be able to come back to the project and look at it with a new pair of eyes.
One thing that two things I'd like to add is also stay hydrated, drink water, damn it. Be sure to hydrate. And also, this doesn't just stand for game jams. It stands for like your schoolwork too. Don't kill yourself. You can't make games if you're dead.
You have limits. You're human. That's that. I mean, and also don't apologize for it and just communicate it. Just say, this is what I can do. This is what I can't do. And then follow through. Be comfortable. Please don't hurt yourself. All right. Learning. So another reason why personal health is so important, because if you're staying healthy, if you're staying active, then you're going to be able to take a lot more weight. Game jams, hopefully the point is that you should have a positive experience at the end. We want you to take a lot of weight from this. All the game jams that I've taken away something different with, which is one of the greatest experiences. I'll go ahead and say it, like, I've not really had a game jam that I'm like, yeah, I want to put this in my portfolio. But with every single game jam, there was educational experiences in whatever software I was working in. There was experiences in working with a team. There was a lot of pride in finishing a project, reaffirmation. There's a lot that you can get from here learning. But don't be afraid of failure. That's a really good rule of thumb for this entire major, or any major actually for that matter. But specifically with game jams, you've got 24 or 48 hours, and we just told you some of you might have zero knowledge. So like, yeah, you might not be the best one. You might not even complete what you were hoping for, depending on where you set the bar. Things will play out differently. That's just a part of the learning experience. But be okay with failure. Enter with the mindset, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to take care of myself. I'm here to learn. And then at the bottom, if you have room for it, I want to do my best. I do want to succeed, but be okay with those other 4 taking precedence first. And try new things because of that. Other people can talk on this a bit. I know we were talking about this beforehand too. There's a lot of different genres to start with, and different genres will probably give you varying level of success. If you try to do an RPG, good luck. Whereas maybe if you try to do a casual puzzle game, you'll probably have better odds. A very simple platformer, those might be within the realms. But I don't know, like, hey, if your team is there and everyone in the team is like, I want to do an RPG, then take away leveling systems or take away how to put dialogue in a game. Don't expect it to be an RPG, but expect to learn some about how to build an RPG.
You could also just go in with the expectation of failing and be like, let's see how much we can do in 24 hours. And
In
test
fact,
it.
I want to interject really quickly. Yeah, I want to interject real quickly and say, no matter how confident you feel, enter with the expectation of failure. I mean, life might come at you fast too. Like, you might get there and right. Actually, this is a great story. One of the game jams I went, turned out I had influenza, so like I didn't get to finish it. I totally forgot about that. So like that was a good example of like I entered with expectations, and then it turned out like no, I'm not able to complete this because this very like physical reason. Um, so you might have a partner that's just like, so turns out I can't continue doing this. Something happened and I can't do the work. You'll be thrown for a loop. So yeah, like enter with the expectation of failure and don't let that intimidate you.
And one of the biggest pieces of advice that one of our professors here in IGM always says, usually when he ever is given the opportunity to give a big speech about game jams or people like new students trying to do their best, is 1 in 100 games you make is going to be okay. 1 in 1,000 games you make is going to be great, and then 1 in 10,000 games is going to be amazing. So take this also as an opportunity to make as many games as possible. You're going to be learning so much from each experience that by the time you graduate from RIT, or by the time you're a fourth year in our shoes, as the ambassadors, third or fourth year, you'll be able to have these same experiences that you can relay on to other people. You have learned so much from participating in things.
Yeah. Also, going off of that again, another great learning experience isn't just from your own group. If you're comfortable with this, talk to other groups, see how they're doing, ask them what they're starting with, and watch their development. Talk to them at the very beginning, see their ideas, and then see that grow, see the mistakes they make, see what they succeed with. There is so much perspective to get here. One of my favorite parts of game jams is always having other friends doing it and talking with them and seeing their progress and learning from their mistakes and their successes. There's a lot of both in other groups and groups of my own. Like that's one of the coolest opportunities too with Game Jam. It is collaborative in a lot of ways. I don't mean collaborative in terms of like I don't know, like we're working on the same project, but in terms of like I'm seeing your project grow and develop, and then at the end I get to see the final product, and that's super cool. And I've learned a lot from your mentality. So then it's like almost like you've gotten the experience of 8 games during one weekend.
Yeah, it's that positive reinforcement environment that is really beneficial during these game jams. They're a really fun space. And again, to kind of tie into earlier, they're a unique experience that you're all sharing together. You're bonding over the fact that, maybe you all get, I think Brick Hack happens in the Gordon Fieldhouse, at least more recently. Depending with COVID this year, this might not happen, but it was this kind of bonding experience where you're all stuck in this like giant auditorium that's usually used for like a track and you're supposed to be physically active, and now you're locked to a chair coding for 24 hours. It's a very weird type of event that allows you to learn a lot of things. But going into something we touched a little bit on, the scope. So if you haven't heard of scope yet, the scope is essentially what you can think of for what your project is going to be in the time you have. And the first rule with scope is, especially for game jams and hackathons, scope down. Do not try to make a AAA game in 24 hours. You're not going to be able to do it. Don't make racing games. Don't make RPGs. Don't make these games that have a lot of systems in them that are going to take a lot of time to develop. Try to go for things that are a lot simpler, smaller scope, things that are more achievable so you can have a complete experience by the time you leave the game jam. Another important thing with this is fleshing your ideas out early. So where do you see this project going? For your first hour, you can spend it with your team brainstorming a whole bunch of ideas. Maybe you think of the idea that you had during the presentation about what the theme is the best idea ever, but you start talking with your team and you realize, maybe this wasn't the best idea. And that's totally fine. You can come up with more and more better ideas the more you talk with people, and come up with, instead of this idea that only you really like, maybe you come up with an idea together that all 5 members of your team really like. And that'll just make the project go a lot smoother in general. Also, again, finding a simple mechanic to start with. Limit your complicated mechanics to 1 or 2 max, unless you're extremely confident in your abilities. And even if you are, a lot of times you're going to run into issues with those and not be able to finish them. And especially, you want to save these complicated mechanics for last. So like if you're making a 2D platformer with a grappling hook mechanic, make the 2D platformer first, then work on the grappling hook mechanic. So you have an experience already made that you can show off to people, and then say, we didn't finish the grappling hook, but we did put a lot of effort into it, and it kind of works in these specific situations. And then you can show those off to people on your portfolio. You can talk about the experience on your resume. This kind of ties into as well, aim for an MVI or an MVP. MVI is a minimum viable interaction, and MVP is a minimum viable product. So these are things where, what is the minimum amount of interactions we need for us to be able to consider this like playable in the loosest sense. And then an MVP is, what can we consider this like the least amount of stuff in the game, but we have all of our systems there and it's playable in its entirety. Is it 1 entire level? Is it 2 levels so we can show off these different mechanics we have? Is it 3 levels so we include a boss? Really scoping down and thinking of what you need to have in this project. And really, again, you're kind of scoping for this. You're making sure that you're aiming your development cycle towards being able to complete that. Also with scope, use source control and use it well. Don't just commit a Git thing that says, I did a thing, and then you commit it. Write out what you did in that commit, because it'll be really helpful for you a year down the line when you might decide to come back to this Game Jam project and work on it further because you thought it was a really cool idea, for you to understand what things were being developed and what went into each commit. Can you speak a little more to source control? I know you're a big fan.
Yes. Okay, so a fun fact about my first hackathon, we lost everything after about 24 hours because our source control was just so messed up. I want to use a stronger word than messed, but I cannot at the moment say that word. And so my advice for source control is, one, with source control your messages, sometimes what my friends and I like to do is we like to look at all the ridiculous messages that we wrote. But to be honest, we tried to revise one of the games that we wrote, and we had no idea what was going on, because not only was nothing documented, but also our commit messages were absolute crap, and we could not figure out a thing. And another thing, with your source control, I would advise somebody in your group is in charge of source control, as in, of course, everyone's pushing and pulling, but one person has to be the main hub of the controlling the source control, I guess is the best way I could put it, because otherwise things are going to get messed up real fast.
The merge master.
The merge master, yes. The Git golem, whatever you want to call it, but it's whatever. But yeah, that's my advice. Also, your git ignore. The git ignore that is currently being used for Unity is not good. If you need advice on that down the line, you'll know where to find me, because I will be there.
Yeah, I also want to point out, because I don't think we ever like elaborated what source control is, but just in case there isn't anyone who knows what source control is, it is just like a way for you to sort of commit, which is like uploading your project to like a hub, and then you can fetch it and pull it, and that's like kind of downloading that project from that hub. And this is very useful in game jams and hackathons when you're working with multiple people and multiple people are working on the same project. So it's like, if I'm working on something and I change one line of code and now my whole thing's messed up, you have a good version on your hub that you can use, and all of your other teammates aren't angry at you because you messed up like the code or anything, because there's already a good version in the hub. Merge errors, which came up, is basically when I change a line of code and someone else changes that line of code, and you push it up to the hub, and all of a sudden like the hub is confused because it has like two different things going on, and you have to like clarify that. So that's going to come up in game jams and hackathons. If you have more questions about that, you can definitely, bring it up at the end of the presentation so we can talk more about that. It's a lot more harder, I think, if you're not used to it or not sure what it is, to explain it right now. But for that, when you go to your game jam and when you go to your first hackathon, you can learn it there. Like someone will help you out.
It's a good, again, ties into use game jams as an opportunity to learn. Even if you don't think you're the most confident and you don't think you could be your Git Golem, try to be, because it's a good opportunity to learn how to be a better one. But just because I enjoy cheesy quotes, I thought I'd include two in this presentation. The first one being, be curious, read widely, try new things. I think a lot of what people call intelligence often boils down to curiosity. This quote kind of talks to the point of, you might not think that you're qualified to be able to go to a game jam and do really well. You don't think you can be that project that, takes first prize, is best in show, what have you. But a lot of times the people who are doing that are going to these game jams just for the good time, just because they think it's going to be a fun weekend to go out with you and 4 of your friends and try to make a game in a short period of time, or to try to make a website in a short period of time, try to make some sort of experience in a short period of time. Because really, the more you put into these types of events, the more you'll get out of them. Attending and saying, we're not expecting to do the best we can. We're expecting to make a project that we can use to show off to employers and hopefully get us a job.
Some of my best memories from hackathons and game jams is not the actual product itself. It's when we were to go out, like when we were at Big Red Hacks in Cornell, when we all went out and got sushi, or in Rochester, when we all went out to this one cereal bar that's closed now, but afterward, and we were like, you know what? We did what we did. It's done. Let's eat. So it's not all about the product. It's all about your friends and that experience and the memories that will last you a lifetime during these events.
Also that is a learning experience. Communication, collaboration, and connection with your group mates is super important in the real world as well. It's really good to like be a person and to have people who will go out and get food with you. Like when you're working on a project, like don't be afraid to take those softer moments too. They're just as important.
So I'm taking over the next few slides. I'm going to try and go a bit quicker through these because we're starting to run short on time. But hey, going off of what we just went off of, jam with your friends. If you're comfortable with people, you can jump right into the group too. Sometimes you're not going to go into a game jam with anyone. I've done half the game jams that I've been in solo. I've done with teams. People are there to make a game. You'll be surprised how easy it is to go and find a group that'll accept you if you can't go with your friends. If not, try going alone. So if you are going with the team though, be sure to set guidelines as mentioned before, because one person may be thinking, I am going to make a masterpiece within these 24 hours, whereas maybe you're just trying to go and learn a new skill. It is ultra important to go and know what your expectations are across the board. Be flexible too. We also went over this before. Your idea is not going to be the greatest thing ever. Granted, a lot of games that are published come from game jams, but regardless, work with your team. Don't be like, it's my way or the highway. You're on a team now. Make others feel comfortable too. Don't be the guy who's trying to take everything and steer the ship. You're one part of a moving machine. If you're trying to take everything over, things aren't going to work well.
Believe it or not, people don't like, or here, believe it or not, statistically speaking, people don't like working with assholes. Believe it or not. It's like kind of crazy of a thing to imagine, but if you're a really fun and friendly person, people are more likely to work on projects with you, which is pretty good. I know that's kind of surprising, but
like
I'll break the ice here and tell you that now.
Please know that you're here for fun. Like, if not, then go and make sure that people know, like, hey, I want to go and take this seriously. Because, oh my God, I hear so many times where people is like, oh yeah, that guy, I hate that guy. We did game jam together. Hate him. It's like, no, just, you're here for fun. You don't want to make enemies at a game jam. You want to make a fun product, a fun game.
Also, just really quickly, it like know yourself too. It is
Yeah.
okay if you're a perfectionist or something, if you are someone who is like, I can do jokes, but I do want things to be serious. I do want our source control to be organized. I like these things will bother me. Like that is who you are, and that's okay. You don't necessarily need to try to destroy that or rewrite that part of yourself. What you can do instead, the healthiest thing, is to talk about it early. If your group mates are doing something that's bothering you and you're like, I feel like I'm just being an asshole because this is bothering me, just ask them and talk to them and try to work through it at an early stage, because what might happen is you're just going to be like, I just won't bother with it. I just won't think about it. And then 5 hours later, you are yelling at them and screaming. And now you are the asshole because you're yelling and screaming at people. So if things are bothering you early on, just talk it through. Try to talk it out. And you, more likely than not, your teammates will respect that and will respect you. If they don't, then there's something wrong with them.
You're not here to get into fisticuffs. You're here for you're here to jam.
Yes. My team, like eventually, if you go with the same team every time, you'll eventually work it out. We had a time where it was Dandy Hacks, which is a wonderful hackathon hosted by U of R. If anyone's interested, very great for learning. We were making a pancake robot. It's a big story, but we made a robot that could print a picture on a pancake with batter, and eventually we had been working together for so long that we kind of started to learn each other's patterns. So we had a couch, and my friend slept on one side of the couch, I slept on the other, and so I would work, and we were both very serious about this hackathon because we really wanted to get this done because pancake robot. And so I would wake up, and then I would get to work and he would fall asleep, and we didn't even have to talk. We did not talk during the entirety of this. You just kind of sort of pick up on each other's patterns, and you just kind of sort of get to it eventually. It's like living with a roommate eventually.
Yeah, there actually is a graph as the stages of teamwork or whatever. And I think the second stage is and it's kind of an inevitable one. It is when you start drawing lines in the sand and realizing maybe things about your teammates that you don't love or whatever. And then afterwards, eventually you reach the point exactly like Kimmy's talking about, where you're just working without thinking about it. You guys are all on the exact same wavelength. And when you reach those stages where maybe you don't like certain things about other people and you're noticing them, just weigh out how serious it is. And again, you can work through these things. And then eventually you'll reach that very, very sweet spot where just smooth sailing.
So continuing on with communication, if you're critiquing stuff, say first start with a positive, then go on the negative. Never just be like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, this is garbage. Find the positive in this and then focus on that. There's never gonna be just pure positives, and sometimes there's way more negatives than positives. But just always try to be kind. Nobody wants to have somebody walk up and be like, hey, garbage, all of this, and then just throw it off the table. Just start with, I like this, start with positive, then go on to the negative. Know your strengths and weaknesses too. Don't be like, hey, I've never done 3D modeling before, but I'm gonna do that, and your team's trying to make a third-person 3D shooter. That means that you are a backbone in the graphical department. That is a bad call. Know what you're good at, and if you want to push yourself, go for it, but let others know that, hey, I am new to this, I'm here to learn. And also be present for your team. There are so many situations where people sign up for a game jam and then they're just like, and then they're gone. Be there to help your team. You're on a clock, you're in a team. don't just be watching videos of like anime or on YouTube. Just help. You're there to help. It's okay to take breaks, but you're there to go and try and accomplish something. You're there to, if you're, especially, this is extremely important if you're on a team because others are depending on you. It's really bad too when you are like a backbone, like, hey, I'm the only coder on my team. And if you're just doing nothing, your whole team is suffering from that. So we're gonna just go over some quick resources too. Hey, being able to communicate with your team is ultra important, and setting up a Discord or a Slack is really useful. We also went over Git before. Setting up one of the first things that you want to do if you're getting on a team, either set up a Discord if everybody has it, and if not, see if they have a Slack, and also get your GitHub going. Those three will help you so much in the long run. It's insane. Trello is really good too. It's a task board program, so it'd be like a list of sticky notes where, hey, John, you go and have these three functions. So we need to go program the jump, the shooting, and an enemy. And then it'd be like, all right, Billy, you're our artist. We need to have these 5 enemies done. So then you could also check in, hey, where is this? How are we doing? Can we progress? And also When to Meet. When to Meet is a very good and very simple website. All it is, it's just a little schedule and be like Monday through Friday or like Monday through Sunday. And it just have all the times that you could meet in. Then everybody would just go and make a little username in it. And then bada bing, bada boom. They insert their times. You know exactly when your team can meet. It's less useful for a 24-hour game jam because it's most likely all hands on deck. But if you're doing like a week game jam or a month game jam, When to Meet is gonna really help out.
Yeah, and to reinforce the point that Kimmy said in chat, just so that it's said in the recording as well, it's really helpful to create a project surrounding your team skills instead of having it the other way around. You can think of this sort of, if you have a team of 5 developers, maybe don't try to make a really art-heavy game. And on the opposite note, if you have a team of 4 artists and 1 developer, don't try to make a really technically impressive game. Really make the project to what your team has. If you have a web dev, a C++ developer, an artist, and a robotics person, maybe you end up with a pancake robot that also has high scores posted online. And that's totally cool because now you have this really weird project that you've come up with to really key into everybody's different skill sets. And you can come up with really unique and sometimes like novel, completely new things from those being put in those situations, because a lot of times in the job field, you won't be in those situations that often where you have the opportunity to work with people from all these different skill sets. In game jams, you're typically working with people who want to make games, but in hackathons, you meet people from all over the place. Like I know one of my old roommates is a mechanical engineer, but was going to hackathons. And I was like, what are you doing there? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Are you supposed to code at those? And she was like, no, you actually can do all these really cool things and build robots with people and have a really good time. Like Kimmy talked about, the pancake robot, perfect example. So there's tons and tons of reasons to be attending game jams, even if you're game jams and hackathons, even if your skill set isn't exactly attuned to making a website or a game. And tying into our second quote of the evening, if it's not fun, why bother? This was said by Reggie Fils-Aimé. If you don't know who he is, I feel like I should probably tell everyone because he was the immediate past president of Nintendo of America. He's a really big figure in meme culture for games. And I thankfully got to see a talk by him at Cornell University last fall, in the fall of 2019. And this quote from him has always stuck out to me since he said it a couple years ago as a reason to not only make games and speak to me personally, but also for life in general. If you're not enjoying yourself, why are you doing it? If you're going to a game jam and you're really just not having a good time, or you're going to a hackathon and all you can think about is the 2 projects you have to do next week, don't continue. Just stop. There's nothing that's holding you there other than your commitment to your team. And you can tell them, you can be honest, look, I'm really sorry about this, everyone. I need to go. I need to go work on this project because it's stuck in the back of my head. As Whit said, if you have influenza, don't stay at this. You do not need to be so committed that you are putting your personal health at risk because you're trying to work on a project. That's totally fine. You should be enjoying the experience. This is, you only spend 4, 5, maybe 6 years in college. So enjoy the time while you're here instead of trying to really go hard all the time.
If you got influenza at a game jam, please go home.
Please go home. Please go home.
Please.
Okay. So now imagine it's a month from now. Maybe you participate in a game jam the next month. There is one going on within a month. But maybe you go to one and you do it. And it's like, okay, now what do? I've done this, and now I have a project. I have a pancake robot that kind of works, but what do I do now? Like, it's just existing. So there's a couple of things that you can do. The first and most important thing is reflect on your experience. What went right? What went wrong? What would you do differently next time? Who will you never work again with? Who will you really want to work again with? Think about all these things and reflect with yourself. You can write them down. You can talk them through with your team, have a reflection meeting even, like a day or two after you've slept and recovered from the game jam or hackathon. But think of everything. This is a really important skill, not only for you yourself as like a person moving on, but a lot of these reflections you can put on your portfolio, and employers love being able to see this, that you can reflect on projects, because that's a lot of what you'll be doing in the real professional sphere, is being able to look at work that you've done and see the merit of it. Even if you worked on this 24-hour game jam and you failed fantastically, like it's a 2D, to use the example from earlier, it's a 2D platform with a grappling hook mechanic that the grappling hook just flat out doesn't work 75% of the time. That's totally okay, because now you know how to make a really good 2D platformer base to put interesting mechanics into. And that's a really good thing moving forward, that you have that skill set. Another thing you can do is a lot of these projects that you work on, you can take them a step further. You can continue development on them past the game jam to really make them worthwhile portfolio pieces. These can become your personal projects. If you've never really had the want to work on that game idea that you've had for a while, you can use a game jam as an opportunity to work on that idea and get it started for yourself, so then you have some baseline to work on going forward, and you might even be able to find team members to help you work on that with you. A class that even reinforces this is a class called Production Studio, which is basically work on a project for the semester. That's it. All the professors run it a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, you're doing the same thing. You're making a game, you're making some kind of experience, and you're just getting to work on it with the guidance of a professor, which is really amazing.
Jumping onto that too, there's also the Magic Maker program, which is basically the production studio, but not as a class. It's a co-op
and you get paid.
Program. Yeah, you can, or you cannot get paid, and then that's not a good option.
Yeah. So again, these are kind of ways here at RIT that you can use a lot of these projects and take them that step further. And then lastly, something that we've been talking about since the very beginning, put it on your resume, put it on your portfolio. This is what employers want to see, for you to be able to stick out from the rest of the crowd.
Employees love it.
They love it.
Employees love it.
A lot of industry people, both in the games industry and the software industry in general, and even other industries, have probably attended a hackathon or a game jam in their life. And that's a really good way to get that experience where you've both done something mutually and you can talk about it. Maybe they also had a team member who had influenza at a game jam, and you can both kind of relate to that or something like that. Or maybe they didn't make a pancake robot, they made a waffle robot. And you can relate those experiences of trying to make food with robots in small periods of times. There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of go through a lot of these. There's a lot of different ways you can put it on your resume portfolio and be able to show it off to employers. Lastly, we've talked through a lot of our tips and tricks, but we didn't hit on quite everything. Kimmy, if you could talk about sponsors real quick, that'd be awesome.
I would love to talk about sponsors. So at many hackathons, well, first I'll talk about it from a point of view of somebody organizing a hackathon, and I'll talk about it from a sponsor point of view. So organizing a hackathon costs money, swag costs money, food costs money, everything costs money. rent costs money. So basically, in order to get this money, it's not gonna grow out of the ground. You're gonna want to have a company come in and yes, money, and you're gonna have a company come in and they can advertise their internships, their positions, their software, and they'll give you money. It's a wonderful symbiotic relationship. And another thing they give is tech talk. So sponsors are great. At hackathons, there's a lot of prizes that could be made, such as like IBM. Let's take IBM just because I have a good relationship with them. So they had prizes for if you were to use like IBM Watson in order to create an app or game that talked about natural disasters. And so they had first, second, third prizes. First prize, you got to go fly out to Sweden for a conference and you got an interview with IBM. And so I talked about get good with your sponsors. So talk to them because they can get you interviews. For example, I did a project called Project Focus, which was using IBM Watson. And that project was liked by IBM. So we were able to move on and try and redo that project in order for them to see it again. And then I got an interview and it was great. And so the more you talk to your sponsors, the better relationship you build with them. Like the people I met at Big Red Hacks from IBM, I still talk to today 1 year later. So yeah, those are sponsors. It's great. Talk to them. You might get a job.
Most hackathons and game jams have sponsors. And if they don't, or you don't think they do, ask one of the organizers or mentors and say, hey, is there a sponsor here that I can talk to? Chances are there probably is. I know even for the game jam I ran a year ago, we only had like 1 or 2 sponsors, but still someone ended up getting a co-op from that. So it's still worth figuring that out in terms of sponsors and always looking out for them.
Yes, another thing. So with sponsors, the project focus, I put on my resume. And because of that, because it had the word IBM on it, I was able to move on through different rounds of IBM interviews just because of that. So definitely, if you have a project and they were a sponsor at the hackathon, use it to your advantage.
And lastly, just some game jams that are happening over break. And even if you're watching this talk in the future, a lot of these things are probably still going to exist. It probably won't be exactly these, but things like Brick Hack have been around for 7 years, so that's probably still happening. I'm going to take a wild guess and say the Rochester Game Dev, or the RIT Game Dev Club is probably still in existence, as well as Jam for a Cause, I hope will still be in existence. So the RIT Game Dev Club is having a game jam, oh my lord, in about a month's time over break, actually, when we're all no longer in school for this semester, thankfully. And it's going to be the pajama party. Get it? But it should be quite fun. It's going to be over on their Discord. Somebody, if they feel free to linking that, but you can also probably Google it and find it. I'm guessing they're on campus groups and other things of that sort. Brick Hack 7 is happening in February. That's going to be one of the really big name ones from RIT. A lot of people who have attended RIT know what Brick Hack is. It's how you get Ricky the Brick plushies is from Brick Hack. So attend even if you don't necessarily want to participate in a game jam, but to get a Ricky the Brick plushie, very important. And lastly is Jam for a Cause, which is doing a game jam or a hackathon if you're an MID or some other type of student. But doing it in support of something greater than ourselves, whether it be an organization that creates game carts that go to kids in hospitals and allow them to play games while being bedridden, or supporting local organizations, whatever it might be, but doing a game jam and raising money in support of those causes. It's really cool. And yeah, there's always swag at these. So if you need more t-shirts or more plushies, they're also a great opportunity to go to game jams and the sort to get even more and more of them. Yeah, Kimmy, I imagine if you're going to one every weekend, you probably have more than a swag bin. You probably have like a swag shed that is just full of stuff.
Yes, do want some, because take it.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like free stuff?
True. This is very true. So attend. Oh, they also usually have food. So if you want food for a weekend, go to a game jam or a hackathon and you can probably get food. That's how I was using it to market to people was, hey, even if you don't necessarily want to do the game jam, you're going to get fed. And that's pretty good, isn't it? Getting fed for free is always nice. But other than that, thanks for coming to the Game Jam Bootcamp. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or dad jokes that you would like to share with us, please do so. We'll be here for a while. Nuha, was there any other questions or other things that were from various spots that we didn't answer?
Talked about sponsorships, and I think the rest of the questions were addressed.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think we're pretty set. So unless
Wicked.
anyone has any more cool.
Yeah, we'll just hang around for a second.
Yeah.
Surprise, we're doing a game jam right now. You have 1 hour. Go.
No.
This is the boot.
No, I refuse. But again, thanks for coming, everybody. We hope this was valuable to you. We went over a lot of stuff, and it has been a little over an hour now of us talking. So I hope we didn't bore you out of your minds like a normal lecture. Yeah, Kimmy, I've seen you do a lot of 1 hour game jams.
They are fun. They really are.
Yeah, game jams, grappling hooks, pancake robots, and influenza. If there's anything to walk away from this talk, remember those.
Yes.
I will also say,
Bert's been taking notes.
going back to personal health, the reason I had influenza was because I was staying up till 3 a.m. trying to study for a test that week. So yeah, don't be healthy. I disagree with the workload I had that week. That was not my fault. But I shouldn't have done that anyways.
Your health is the most important thing. Like, do not sacrifice anything else
Yeah.
for your own health.
Like
I would
said,
say, go next.
you can't make games if you're dead.
It's true. You
Like-
can't make other projects. You can't make a pancake robot if you're dead.
Like
Extremely
recently,
important.
over the summer, I did something that made me push my wrist to the limit, and my carpal tunnel has been bad ever since. Don't push yourself. Things have consequences. I can't type very much. It hurt.
Yeah, I think also like if you go to a game jam and like for like I don't know, like the first day or whatever, you're like, all right, I got the base for a game done. Like here's my working character with collision, and then you get influenza, then like the next game jam you go to, just build off of like what you already had. Like don't consider it a failure. It's just progress that you're just putting off for a little bit.
Yes.
And
No
don't
one
get
to stop.
influenza. Either do or don't get influenza the second time. Maybe challenge yourself.
Just know
in
when to
terms-
stop too. Know when to stop.
In terms of the dates for the game jams, we'll send them out to the people that signed in, and we'll post them probably in the IGM Discord and other locations. But yeah, they will be more apparent as we go forward. Also, to answer some of the questions from the sign-in, I think most of them were covered pretty well. Again, if you don't have any real experience with game dev, a game jam is a great opportunity for you to get some of that first stuff. Working with Unity and people that might have made 1 or 2 games before is a great opportunity to get started. How do I stop myself at a certain point while making a game? So that's kind of speaking to the scope point. You really want to think of what is the minimum viable interaction or like product that you need to be able to show off to people for this to be an interesting thing. Like what is does my grappling hook need to work? Do I need to be able to do a 3-hit combo on enemies? Things like that. Tips for navigating an online game jam. Honestly, they're kind of the same. The only difference is you're probably not in the same room as other people jamming. You're probably over a Discord call. And that's totally fine. Again, it's kind of check in with people. If someone hasn't said anything for the past 3 hours, see if they're alive still. They might have just fallen asleep, but make sure they're not just like playing RuneScape. It's very important. How do you
And don't
scope
play
a project?
RuneScape.
Yeah, don't play RuneScape during the jam. Or don't play RuneScape in general. How to scope a project for a game jam? Think of, again, bringing it back to MVI, MVP. Think of what is the minimum you need and how complicated are your mechanics. Are you trying to make an RPG with 20 million systems like The Witcher 3 or Mass Effect? Don't do that. Do something smaller that's achievable. Do one of those systems. Maybe you make a spaceship that can go from planet to planet. That's probably doable in a game jam. And then you can take that on as a personal project and flesh it out further.
Yeah, I think also for your first game jam, like definitely curb your expectations. And I think like a great way to go is replication. Like if you know this is like how a game looks like, or like this is like you played this game before and you think you can make the base of that game. I would like replicate first. And then if you have time, then kind of add like your creativity and stuff on top of that, especially for your first like game jam. I mean, like I've been echoing this entire session, but it is a learning experience. So, just like iterate on something, but start from your minimal viable product.
The points that have been redundant are probably because they're the most important ones.
Yeah.
Also just really quickly, since I felt like maybe we gave some mixed messages on this one point. So know your group in terms of like what energy you're bringing to the game jam, because you might have like there are some people who are like, I'm going to sleep at the venue, I'm going to like be super hardcore about this, like I'm not leaving my computer. And then you might have like other people who are like, I'm gonna come for 4 hours, work a little bit, go out, get lunch, come back for 2 hours, then go back to my room, do homework, and go to sleep. And like that's okay, like both are perfectly fine. Just like know your group. And like don't be, but like also that's another important thing to communicate firsthand. Like, are you going to be the group that's going to be like never leaving the location until they literally kick you out? Or are you going to be like, let's do this as a fun little weekend project and just see what comes of it? But regardless, don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't say like, oh, I thought I was just going to kind of come and do that. I have homework to do. I don't know if I can go as hardcore as the people sitting next to me. Don't worry about that. There's no expectation for how much you have to do.
I got signed out.
No.
Oh no.
But
Back.
just knowing exactly what your expectations are and the team knowing what your expectations are, as well as what your team's expectations are, will help a ton of conflict. Like you're gonna be if you just stay silent and then expect everyone else to be on the same page as you are, like maybe you're ultra gung ho and then it's just like, oh, I could just work on this today. I only have today. Didn't you guys know? That happens a lot. And also in those specific situations, that's usually where people get really salty and are just like, that guy, no, never again. Just being able to communicate immediately and saying, hey, I have today only, or hey, I really, really want to make something cool, will help so many problems like be avoided.
And then lastly, real quick, just to hit on the last question from the sign-in, which is honestly a killer question, and the answer to it, well, we'll get to that. How do you set feasible but worthwhile expectations, and how do you re-examine your goals when things are going slower than planned? Yeah, honestly, Kim, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so this has happened many a time to my team. And what we do is, so the first thing we do is we actually leave. Let's leave. So we do. And so we go to dinner. And at that dinner, we order some chips maybe, and then we talk. We lay out what is the main theme that we're trying to convey. And then we kind of talk about the backbone. And then we talk about, okay, you are this, this, and this. So we give each other different main points and we give each other different details. So the second something goes wrong with one of the main points, 2 details get removed. And so it's all about trying to, again, minimum viable product. And if it doesn't work out, you don't go back on the main parts, because as long as it's functional and long as the judges can play it, you're good. It doesn't matter what little added features that you have, basically. So make those, plan it out, know what needs to be done, know what's a want and a need, and get rid of the wants.
Like, even if the judges can't play it and you made something, still submit it. You made something, like you survived the 24 hours to 48 hours. You made a product.
And then speaking to the second part of the comment, how do you re-examine your goals when things are going slower than expected? It's a great opportunity to kind of, if the game jam is 24 hours, sit down at the 12-hour point, or if it's 48 hours, sit down at the 12, 24, and 36-hour point, and have a team meeting saying, okay, how far are we? What are we getting done? What needs more development time? What were we able to accomplish? And think about everything you've been able to do so far. Doing that is an opportunity to really reevaluate your goals. And it's a good opportunity to kind of say, hey, we weren't able to get this done, but we don't think it's really worth going down anymore. And actually, we're having a lot of fun making this just a 2D platform without the grappling hook. So maybe we just focus more time on that and really try to get a good experience there. And that's totally valid. And both parts of this question, both talking about, setting goals and then re-examining them, is a skill that is extremely important when you go into the industry, regardless of the industry. Super, super important, because this is something you'll be doing very regularly in a thing called Scrum. And it's just like something you'll be reevaluating constantly, and is a really valuable skill that you can learn through game jams, because they're sort of these very short period projects that you're creating. So you're having to constantly think about, is this achievable? Can we do this? And then you can apply those same things that you learn from a game jam to your class projects, to your personal projects, to the co-op you get, to the full-time job you have. These are all important experiences to have, so that you have some sort of baseline when you're applying these concepts in a bigger sphere.
So something I just want to reiterate is, if you can't you have a rule is, if you don't make any progress within 3 hours, ditch it.
Kimmy, could you make a game jam Bible? Like, you have a lot of just really good hammered out rules.
Sometimes autopilot happens during these game jams, and you just gotta keep repeating things to yourself. And this is what I repeat. Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
It comes with experience.
Yeah.
Speaking to another question we got in the chat, if you're trying to figure out finding a team, do you have a suggestion of what to look for, especially with a lot of these upcoming game jams being online? I'm not sure how to do that in this sort of setting. So a really good place to look is Discord servers of people who are actively going to be attending these game jams. So RIT Game Dev Club is going to have a lot of dedicated people who are interested in, maybe some people for the pajama party are going to go really hard and try to make a really killer game in their pajamas, and some people might just be enjoying hot chocolate and making sort of a fun game during it, and that's totally fine. Either way is going about it, but again, you want to set those guidelines and find the team that fits your work style. So if you're a perfectionist and want this game to be absolutely perfect, then you should find a team of people that are like that. And if you're a person who's probably more like me and is like, let's just slap something together and see how it turns out, probably find those people. And it's totally fine to be either kind of person, because you'll find similar people who want to work that way, and that's totally fine.
With the online game jams that are going to be coming up, you're going to have to do a bit more extra work on your own terms to really find people who that you want to go and join a team with, because everybody's going to be a lot more shy this time around, because it's way easier to be conversational and sociable in person than just online.
Also, another good resource for that, because that's actually a really valid question. That makes me anxious just looking at it. But another great source is reach out to the people hosting it. That's another great kind of group to have great communication with, and say, hey, I'm looking for a team. These are concerns that I have. Do you know any teams that would be a good fit for me? And could you help me? I'm shy. I don't really want to DM them. Could you kind of help me make that happen? That's what they're there to do.
Does anybody have any last minute comments, questions, concerns, dad jokes they'd like to share with us?
Please no dad jokes.
If you have to do a dad joke, that's okay. This is the space. It's safe here.
This is a safe space for dad jokes.
Yeah.
Not. I will call you out.
Quick, kick what?
What concert costs just 35 cents?
Can we mute Kimmy really quickly, and then you can tell the joke?
50 Cent featuring Nickelback!
What did you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?
I had to do it quickly. So
the only one that caught it.
50 Cent featuring Nickelback.
Oh.
Huh. Wait, you said 35 cents, not 45.
I said 45,
Okay.
Nick.
I heard 35. You know
I also
what?
heard 35.
I heard
Kimmy messed up the joke.
Kimmy.
Kimmy.
Okay, so thanks for coming, everybody. Again, we'll send out the information about the game jams, but I'll really quickly flick to the slide that has them all on it. Again,
You
the
took a
RIT Game Dev
screenshot.
Club is likely going to exist beyond this. Oh, I'll just copy it into the email. Beyond just when we're giving this presentation, they'll probably be having more game jams. They try to have one every semester. Brick Hack, I doubt, is going away anytime soon. If it does, that'd be really sad because there'd be no more
Here to
Breaking the
stay.
Brick. But
Yeah.
they'll probably still exist, so you can probably find them. Their website has galleries, pictures from the last 6, so it's really cool. Same with Jam for a Cause, probably still going to be happening beyond just our time here at RIT. So feel free to go and look at whatever the current Jam for a Cause is. Yeah. So you can't make games if you're dead. If there's anything to walk away with this, know that. Be alive because it's good. And yeah, there's also no Wi-Fi in heaven, so don't die because you're not gonna have fun up there.
I didn't know that. Where did you learn that, Cole?
I learned it from the Zoom chat. But other than that,
He's not wrong.
thanks for coming, everybody. I'm gonna end the recording.